I, male 37, have been with my fiancé, female 37, for 2 years. We're getting married soon, and I've only met her family a couple of times. My daughter, Judy, teen, had never met them until recently when they hosted dinner, and that's when they met her for the first time. Judy has a visible burn scar on her forehead. It was due to an accident she was in when she was a little kid. She used to be incredibly insecure about it, to the point where I was forced to homeschool her, and it was hard trying to deal with and navigate through this rough time. Now she's doing a lot better, though some comments can cause her to become stressed out and anxious. My fiancé knows all that and respects, so before we went to her parents' house, I asked her to tell them about Judy and her struggle and get them to try not to say anything negative about it or possibly mention it. She said she would guarantee no one would say anything. We got to the event and they talked to Judy, and she slowly warmed up to them. Everything was going well till dinner time. Then my future mother-in-law looked at Judy while eating and pointed at her scar. Basically asking questions about it made Judy lose her appetite and become uncomfortable. I kept sending my fiancé and her mom signs to knock it off, but to no avail. Finally, mother-in-law brought up the wedding and asked my fiancé if it'd be possible to Photoshop the scar out of any wedding photos with Judy in them, just in case they distract viewers. I was dumbfounded. My fiancé said nothing and just stared casually while nodding. I looked at Judy, and it was clear this got to her. I leaned closer and asked her if she was feeling uncomfortable and that we could leave if the answer was yes. She took her time, then nodded and said, "Yes, I'm feeling uncomfortable right now." I got up and told her to get ready because we were leaving. My fiancé, her mom, and the family started insisting we finish dinner and stay, but I refused. I took Judy, got in the car, and left before talking to my fiancé. Obviously, she was angry. She called and was angry, talking about how I disrespected her parents by taking Judy and leaving in the middle of dinner and not even saying goodbye. I told her that Judy felt uncomfortable with mother-in-law's comments and questions. She said Judy overreacted and needed to go back to therapy if a simple mention of her scar caused her to react that way. I got tired of arguing and asked her to give us some time. Still, she kept on and said that I had no respect for her or her family and that what I did was irrational, and now she won't speak to me till I clear things up with her family after ruining their celebratory dinner. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Oh, OP, your fiancé has shown her true colors. She doesn't in fact care about your daughter. If she did, she would have realized that your future mother-in-law suggesting you Photoshop out the scar so it doesn't distract is insulting. If I were you, I'd rethink the wedding and that family. They owe you and Judy an apology, not the other way around. Your mother-in-law recommended digitally altering your daughter's face in wedding photos to avoid distracting people, yet you're the one who disrespected her? Who points to someone, especially a child's face, and goes, "Wow, that's ugly"? You will be a giant idiot if you marry this woman who bullies your daughter and lets her parents do it too. This is it. Even if she wasn't that self-conscious about the scar, asking to Photoshop features of the husband's daughter with both of them present at the table, oof. Sadly, you just got a glimpse of how your marital life is going to be. First, wife will make promises, and then she and her family will do and say whatever crass, cruel thing they feel like. If it were me, they could Photoshop the whole dang wedding. Seriously though, throw the fiancé out with the bathwater. She had 2 chances to redeem herself. She could have asked her mother to mind her business, diplomatically, or she could have told her mother to shut up. She chose neither, which means she will never pick your daughter. Get your ring back and move on because they will torment your child. My friend asked me to be her maid of honor, and I said yes. I put aside a good chunk of money so I could pay about $3,000 to be exact. I was hoping I didn't have to spend this much, but just to be safe, I put it aside. I've put out a lot of money for this wedding, but unfortunately, I'm currently in a tough spot with money right now, and I tried to make this clear to her, but to no avail. So I spent money on wedding attire, shoes, jewelry, accessories, bridal shower, aka decorations, games, food, etc., and I had to go to her wedding itself. I again pitched in with her bachelorette party, decorations, food, etc. I even spent the money on a hotel, and I had to spend money on hair and makeup for the wedding, which was $250 per hour because of the person she chose, who was over budget. Well, we got closer and closer to the date, and we picked out bridesmaid dresses. Anyway, we finally found the dress that she picked. I have no problems with the dress itself. It was beautiful. I loved it, but I hated the price. An average bridesmaid dress cost $150 to $200. These were $450 each. There were 6 bridesmaids. I'm sorry, that would equal $2,700. That is a huge hell no. I've already spent more than I wanted to. And I reminded her that she'd have to start paying for these things because I'm reaching my limit. My mother can make these herself for a much lower price. She made mine and Kelly's quince dresses, and she's good at it. So I offered that. Unfortunately, that wasn't good enough. And she, in my opinion, tried to gaslight me, saying that she wanted to get them from here. She didn't want to risk anything happening. I said that I wouldn't be paying for this at all. I'm already $1,000 over my budget, so I won't be paying for anything else. She got upset, saying that I agreed to this wedding. I knew it would be expensive, and as a maid of honor, it's my job to do this for her. And I haven't even spent a quarter of what she spent on this wedding. I said, yeah, because it's not my wedding. She started getting upset and raising her voice at me, saying I was out of touch with her wedding style and trying to dictate everything. Finally, that I needed to stop forcing my cheap lifestyle down her throat. She ended it by saying I shouldn't be the maid of honor. I said I shouldn't be there since she feels so entitled to me and my money, and left. I got loads of calls and messages from everyone cussing me out, but my flight was paid for, so I still went there, just not to the wedding, and got a different hotel. And boy, people are so mad at me that I have no one on my side here. Everyone and their mother's on my butt right now. So, am I the idiot? Wait, what? OMG. Since when is it normal for the maid of honor to pay for someone else's wedding expenses? Heck no. She sounds like an entitled leech. And you even offered for your mom to make them for her. Not the idiot. I truly agree. And $3,000 is a lot. Wow. If you're being asked to pay, then you set the budget. The bride wants the maid of honor to pay? Fine. The maid of honor gets to pick everything. My money says the wedding is at the courthouse. The bride wants to pick? Then the bride pays. I don't know where you live and the traditions there, but overall it seems like you're paying for a lot more than you should be as a maid of honor. I've never heard of the maid of honor paying for all the bridesmaid dresses. I've heard of the individual bridesmaids paying for their dresses or the bride. I've also heard the same about hair and makeup. It seems to me that the bride is taking advantage of you and wants you to it for things that are traditionally the bridal couple's responsibility. Of course, everyone is mad at you. Now that the gravy train has left the station, there's no one left to mooch off. That bridezilla doesn't seem like much of a friend anyways. You're better off. Also, a wedding should be about celebrating a beautiful moment among friends and family. The obnoxious spending and behavior of these events has got to stop. Get as much money back as possible and lose this friend. I, 26 female, have a sister, 28. Let's call her Josie. Josie is a mother to 3 little kids. The father's a really absent parent and not around much. He works the night shift and then sleeps all day. I feel bad for her because it isn't a fair situation, and she doesn't get any time to herself. The situation is as follows. My sister invited me to hang out on a Saturday night. I agreed to come around and hang out with her, but she said she'd have to leave to run an errand at some point. Cool. She said she'd be half an hour, so I could look after the sleeping youngest child, toddler, while she quickly nipped out. I reluctantly agreed. The other 2 kids had been dropped off at our parents' for the weekend, so I understood she'd want some time to run an errand. She usually wouldn't have time for it, as it was only a half an hour, so she promised it would be. I come over and we chat, catch up, and watch a movie. It's really pleasant, until she says she has to leave for that errand and leaves me instructions on what to do in case the kid wakes up, but says to call her because she's only around the corner. I'm on edge because I struggle a lot with terrible anxiety and panic disorder. I'm currently in therapy and experimenting with meds to manage. However, we haven't found anything that works yet. She knows this and knows I would really panic and cannot look after a kid for longer than she initially promised. I'm just not there mentally to be able to deal with crying, for example. Anyway, half an hour passes and she isn't back yet. 45 minutes. I call her and ask if everything's okay and when she'll be back, and she answers after multiple rings. She said something came up and she'd be another hour, maybe an hour and 15. I basically lose my crap and say if she's not back in 15 minutes, then I'm leaving. She said I wouldn't do that and please stay there, and hung up. At this point, I'm on the verge of having a panic attack. So I do my breathing exercises, ring her husband, leave a message when he doesn't answer, text him about the situation as well, and also text my mom and leave after 15 minutes like I said. Apparently, my sister didn't come home for another 2 hours, and when she did, her husband was with the child, and they were both fuming. He got my message 15 minutes after I left, so 30 minutes after I sent it, and now both are refusing to talk to me, saying I endangered the child's life. I feel like staying would have been worse because the kid slept through it all, and a panic attack may have awakened him to find me in a dysfunctional mess. Am I the idiot here? Everyone's the idiot here. Your sister shouldn't have left your kid with someone incapable of taking care of a kid. She can get charged with abandonment. But you left a toddler alone, putting his life in danger and also possibly risking legal trouble. How far away do your parents live? Could you have not called them? Called any local friend? Call the cops? Sister's an irresponsible idiot for being gone for over 3 hours. Of course your sister's an idiot, but not even near the same scale as you, so I'm not counting it. Anything could have been a better choice, even calling the police. And can you imagine this kid's fear if they had woken up and saw that they were all alone in the middle of the night? So now OP's giving this kid his own case of anxiety and nightmares because of the time Auntie left him all alone for God knows how long. I also don't like that OP calls Dad an absent parent just because he works nights. Working nights does not equal absent parent. He would not be an absent parent if he left work to go check on his child 15 minutes after leaving him a message. OP, you are a terrible person, and sometimes you have to suck it up because you're an adult and don't abandon a child. My son recently played in his first varsity football game, American football. He plays the offensive line, and to be frank, the game did not go well for him. The guy he was going against beat him most of the time. My son has always been a naturally bigger, stronger kid, and so hasn't put that much effort into working out or improving because he hasn't needed to, since he's just been able to outmuscle people his age. But now that he's on varsity and the other players are big and strong, he just got outclassed. After the game, he was obviously upset and bummed, and I just let him sulk and didn't really discuss much with him. But the next day, he was still mad and started saying that the other player was being cheap or that the refs were missing calls, etc. At that point, I stopped him and said, "No, they weren't. Nothing they did was a cheap shot. You just flat out got beat. Last night they played better than you did. That's just the reality. If you don't want that to happen again, then you need to work to get better." My son did not like that response and is currently not talking to me. My wife has said I was too harsh by saying the other player was better, but I think I was just being honest about what happened. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Don't worry, he's just nursing his wounded ego. He'll get over it. You were right to tell it like it is. At some point in life, you need to teach your kids to take accountability for things, and you did it at the right moment. He's old enough to understand this, and catering to his arrogance would have only created problems for him in the future. I'd say you are the idiot. While I understand your thought process, he needed comfort, not confrontation. He needs to know it's okay to lose, and that doesn't mean he was terrible or played badly. It means the other players may be more experienced, have worked hard to get really good, and that a lot of people in sports like this are the big, strong kids like him, so it is harder to win now. There's a way to teach him sportsmanship, but this isn't how you do it. Giving feedback is the coach's job and not the parents'. I, 42 female, have a son, Jax, tween. He recently entered 7th grade, and he's very talented when it comes to math. He's always enjoyed it, and I'm proud that my son is interested in this subject. I went to my sister-in-law's 31 baby shower, and I brought Jax along. I'm divorced. My sister-in-law and brother, 36, played some games with other children and adults in which a prize could be won. My brother brought out a jar filled with gummy bears and said if anyone could guess the closest to how many bears were in the jar, they could keep it. Jax knew how to solve it with some complicated formula. He grabbed a napkin and a pen and started solving it. He yelled out when he got his answer, 62 bears. A man yelled 65, which he got it because it was the exact number. He noticed how much work my son was doing and said an answer that was close to his. Jack started saying how unfair it was that he didn't do the work and got it, so he ran up to him and pushed the jar out of his hand, causing it to shatter into pieces on the floor. Everyone looked at it, then looked at me. I didn't say anything. I knew that the man didn't deserve it because he didn't do the work. The baby shower mainly was sister-in-lawment after that. Luckily, my sister-in-law had a mini sweep and broom in her car, which she brought out. I helped clean up the mess. After the baby shower, I received texts from people there telling me I had no sense of responsibility for my son and that his behavior needed to be fixed. As for the man, he had no reaction when it happened, and he left early. I feel like the idiot, but I also feel like the man deserved it. So, am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Great job, Mom. You're leading him on a path of juvenile detention or jail. Your kid is a brat who acted violently and ruined a baby shower. Don't enable this behavior. Losing graciously and dealing with disappointment constructively will get him a lot farther in life than being better at math than his parents. And no consequences for his actions? He's a tween. Why wasn't he cleaning up the mess he caused with his outbursts at his loss? Ah, right. Because Mommy Dearest is there to shield him from consequences. What happens when he hurts someone? Will you go to jail for him instead? Because he could care less if that glass jar smashed into someone. You're lucky this time. Teach your son how to be a human. People care more if he's safe and positive to be around than if he can do some insignificant calculations to win candy. It was supposed to be a guessing game. Doing the work is cheating. Your son lost fair and square, and then he threw a destructive tantrum over it, and you enabled it. Also, the man who guessed the exact number deserved to win. End of story. LOL, how was that cheating? He didn't take the gummies out of the jar and count them one by one. He used his wits to solve a problem. He was definitely a little idiot and a sore loser about it, but you gotta give the kid some credit. Jax is allowed to be disappointed and express his feelings, but allowing him to smash it is quite frankly immature for his age. Jax needs to learn to take these things in stride and should have been made to clean up the mess. Sister-in-law shouldn't have had to touch it.